Go ahead and call our meeting to order for the Planning Commission for March 4th, 2014. We have one item on the agenda this evening. It's land use items for discussion and possible action. Executive Residential Group Specific Use Permit PZ.14.1813, requesting review and approval of a specific use permit for a conventional single-family use in the RTM Residential Two-Family and Multifamily District. Mr. Coots, would you like to bring your report?
Tom Coots, Development Services. The property in question, I've got it on the map. It's surrounded in red. It's surrounded on all four sides by the RTM, Residential Two-Family and Multifamily Zoning District. It's generally surrounded by single-family, like touching it would be single-family uses. The neighborhood, though, is made up of two-family, single-family, and multifamily uses. If you can see where my mouse is, two properties south of this property is another property that the applicant has developed, and it was approved a couple of years ago by a SUP for a similar type use, and in fact for the same exact house plan. This is a map site plan of the property. Shows basically it's what's proposed as a 7-bedroom single-family detached house. They're showing parking for 5 spaces. You can see basically if you've been out there, the other property, what you call the front yard is pretty much all just a big driveway, and that's basically what they're proposing now. They're proposing 5 spaces, even though it's a 7-bedroom house, because it's hard to fit code spaces onto the property. If you had 7, the other spaces wouldn't be able to fit on there without basically redrawing the project or seeking a variance. They'll have space to fit other cars, but if we are required to have 5 spaces, the other extra spaces won't be required to be quite the size that a parking space is supposed to be. So this is the elevation of the house. Like I said, it's about the same as the house on the other property just to the south. Findings include a conventional single-family use is allowed in the RTM district with a specific use permit. The SUP would permit the construction of a 7-bedroom house. The developer proposes a minimum of 5 parking spaces. A conventional single-family use is required to have 2 parking spaces by the code. They're proposing 5. And the surrounding neighborhood is made up of a mixture of single-family, two-family, and multifamily uses. Do you have any questions for me?
I have one quick question, Tom. How, on the existing property that they've already built and developed, how's the parking kind of been set up on that? Has it seemed to be fine for the neighborhood, no complaints, nothing like that, or?
Well, I did receive one call from a concerned neighbor today, and they were a little bit worried about if this project did the same general scheme as the other project, in that it would reduce the amount of on-street parking. Pine has parking on one side, and parking, as in most areas near the university, is pretty short. And the plan from before had 2 really wide driveways, so essentially the entire frontage is a big driveway. That isn't what we're going to be doing this time. The code allows for up to 22 feet of driveway, so we're proposing 2 11-foot driveways, but as you can see, the result is about the same. It would take away any on-street parking. So other than taking away some on-street parking, which is allowed by code because these aren't striped public parking spaces, it's just parking allowed on the street. Anybody can pull a driveway permit and do that sort of thing. But other than that sort of thing, I haven't heard any complaints about. I think the general idea is they've got enough parking to fit everybody on there, so that's what they're looking for in the area.
Enough parking to fit everybody on there on site?
Yeah, on site, yeah.
Okay. Any more questions for Tom?
I just have one quick question. The percent that you can cover a lot with a structure, and I don't know, does it just include this structure, or does that also include all of the associated paving?
The maximum lot coverage is just the structure.
Okay. So you I mean, according to the code, you could pave the whole thing
Yeah.
if you wanted. I mean, I guess are there landscaping requirements with it?
Not,
I guess not, because it's just a single family
not for,
house,
yeah, just for single family, no.
essentially. Okay.
Anything else? Okay. At this time, we would open up the public hearing portion, and anyone that would like to speak in favor, please step forward and state your name.
Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the commission, I'm Noble Sokolowski. My son and partner Taylor is with me. We're the two managers of this entity, and I'm happy to field any questions if you want. Tom is correct. It's same project that we did before. When I first came in, and Mary and I have got 6 children, and 5 of them have either graduated or are currently attending OSU, so we bought a house over at Orchard in Monticello, and we had a couple of years that none of my progeny were going to be in the house, so we rented it out, and then they came with the Westwood Overlay District. So I worked with Gary Clark. I sort of represented landlords, and we came up with what we thought was a very good plan, and this commission approved it, and then the council really made it tough on us. So I'll be selling that house. So we're trying to find locations in town outside of that Westwood area. I told Gary I would sell it to one of his professors because that's kind of what they're wanting to do. And when we located this property on Pine, they said, well, we're wanting more intense development here. So we did that project. We're framing now a project at 7th and Ramsey, which will be a townhome type project. We're quite proud of our product. Actually, we've had some of our tenants say that the finish in this property is better than the homes that they grew up in. All exotic granite. The main floor, we just do stained pattern concrete. We score it, put a pattern in it. Upstairs is all hand scraped wood floors. We provide a big media room with theater chairs, 2 TVs on the wall. Full kitchen, all the appliances. We provide 2 sets of washers and dryers so they're not having to run to the laundromat, and walk-in Roman showers. So, we think it's a fine product and plan to do more if we can find the space.
I have one quick question, and it's regarding the parking. The parking is a little bit of a concern for me because with the property down there that we already have developed, we don't have any on-street parking there. If we do this, essentially we won't have any on-street parking there. 7 bedrooms, 5 parking spots, assuming they have friends, we could be talking to 10 to 14 cars per property. And have we thought about, with building setbacks, could we push the property back farther off of the street and do some angled parking or anything like that? Have we looked at options to get more parking spots in there, or?
We actually did, almost called him Bronx. Tom is correct. It's essentially the same plan, but Taylor did modify it to make it wider and more shallow so we could move it back.
How far are you from your rear setback? Do you know that, Tom?
It's, 20 and a half feet, and the setback is
20, so you're there. Okay.
On the Ramsey property, and we are sensitive to the parking issue because that's about all we dealt with on the Westwood overlay problem. I've got a 5-bedroom house on Orchard, and they've taken just about all my parking away for on the street. So I think I've got 2 years left that I can rent to 5 people, and then they knock it down to 4. You know how it works. But if I rented, right now I've got 2 children living there. In 2 years, I'll be renting it because Camille will be in the Pi-Fi house and Connor will graduate. So if I were to rent to 5 people, I don't know where they're going to park. So on our Ramsey project, we actually went to the expense and went to the Board of Adjustment to get a variance to allow us to put more parking spaces on site than what staff thought was permissible based upon their interpretation of the code, and that was granted. So we will have 100% of the people on that project on site, plus we're providing, I don't know, all along 7th Street will be all on-street parking. So we'll have bukus of parking there, but with these 50-foot lots, that's about the best we can do.
Yeah, you're kind of limited. Any more questions?
Sorry, we're the
Questions from over here?
We're quiet tonight.
well, I hate it that we're the only thing on your agenda.
We don't.
Oh,
No.
do y'all have to meet anyway?
No.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Seeing none, anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Tom, could you come bring your findings, please?
The alternatives.
Alternatives?
We can accept staff findings and recommend that the city council approve the proposed specific use permit as presented. We can find that additional information or discussion is needed prior to making a recommendation. So either continue the consideration to a certain date or table the consideration until the information is available. Or find that the use is not an appropriate use for the property based upon the impacts of the surrounding vicinity and recommend that the city council deny the specific use permit.
Any discussion?
Trey, I drove by there today, and what's happening there is there's 5 cars in the existing one to the south 2 or 3 doors, 5 cars up, 2 behind those in those spaces there. Game day, I'm sure it's 10. You know,
Surprise spots. yeah.
everything is like that in Stillwater, and it's a tricky pickle because unlike the Ramsey deal where we felt like there was an over accommodation. This is a tighter deal because of what you're adding versus what was there before. But I don't know, how many parking spaces are you losing on Pine? 3, 2?
Yeah.
And so, but you're adding, like you said, probably an average of 8 to 10 cars. I don't know how that all works. Depends on who's dating who at the time, I guess.
Or if they're friendly.
Yeah. But it is a nice pocket.
Yeah.
That-
I think I'm all for the development.
We're
I
not
think it's
in
great.
the
Yeah.
Westwood thing or infringing, in my opinion, on that.
Yep.
And so I don't think I have issue with
I don't
Is that a
have
motion?
it. I would make a motion, yeah. I would vote or make a motion, we accept findings and recommend the city council approve the proposed specific use permit as presented.
Second.
We have first and a second. We'll do a verbal roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Crosby,
Yes,
Commissioner Marlar,
Sure.
Commissioner Merrifield,
Yes.
Commissioner Buchert,
Yes.
Commissioner Lane is absent, Commissioner Barth,
Yes.
and Chair McCune.
Yes.
We have 6-0 vote for approval.
All right. That does pass. Moving on to our next item, approval of the meeting summary for discussion and possible action. Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes for February 4th meeting? Any
Not a
changes?
Misspelled syllable.
Not one. She's
Wish
still
we could
batting
hammer-
1,000.
Wish we could hammer her when she wasn't here. I would move to approve.
Second. We'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Crosby,
yes.
Marlar,
Yes.
Merrifield,
Yes.
Buchert,
Yes.
Barth,
Sure.
McCune,
Yes.
and the motion passes.
Okay. Next planning commission meeting is set for March 18th. With that, move for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
And everybody in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and we are adjourned.